This is one of my favorite things to talk about. Those are the books that like made you fall in love with reading in the first place. It's currently 12 p.m. on a Saturday afternoon on the 15th of February. I'm sitting here with my stack of childhood books, my emotional support water bottle, my iPad, and dignity all on the line. This video is going to be about the childhood books that I believe permanently shaped me and altered my brain chemistry and made me who I am today. Some of them are a little embarrassing because we're going to be including Wattpad books as well. I'm already regretting this video. So if you don't know me, my name's Amina. I like to write books and I like to talk about books, and that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to go from like childhood, like childhood to like preteen years. So I'd say between the ages of like 8 and 15. Okay, so that will definitely include Wattpad books because that was a big part of my preteen years, you know, especially at 13. We're going to go through all the books that were my favorites growing up and like stood out to me the most as a kid, and we're just going to talk about them and like if you read these books growing up too, please let me know, because a lot of these I feel like I'm the only person that I know who read this book. Some of them are very common, like Jacqueline Wilson, Kathy Cassidy. Like, you know, if you are Irish or British, then those are probably the books that you read a lot growing up. But some of them, especially the ones on Wattpad, are a little bit more niche. So if you've read them, please tell me. Let's get started. The book starts off with this girl. Her name is April. She was born 1st of April. Her mom was like really young, hooked up with this guy at a party, was pregnant, kept it like a secret, I think, from her family, gave birth in a toilet, like a public bathroom, and then left her baby in a public garbage bin just for someone to find April, the baby, who was born on the 1st of April and, you know, put into foster care. I don't remember anything else about this book, but I just remember reading it and being like gobsmacked. I think I was just like, she left her baby in the bin? She gave birth in a bathroom by herself? Like, she really sat in that bathroom and pushed the baby out by herself. Like, okay, when it comes to Jacqueline Wilson, because I think I'm going to mention like 2 or 3 Jacqueline Wilson books in this video, but like specifically Dustbin Baby, Clean Break, and Vicky Angel, those 3 books messed me up. It messed me up. I think this book particularly was the whole like teenage pregnancy aspect. I think I read this way too early. Like, I think I was like 8 years old when I read this book, and that's just not. I was probably like 7, and I think this is like supposed to be for like older kids, but then I see the pattern with Jacqueline Wilson books where it's like, I think a lot of us can say that we were too young to read some of the Jacqueline Wilson books, and a lot of them had very dark themes that I don't think we realized back then. Like, I will tell you that I don't think a single book that I read by Jacqueline Wilson did not have like some sort of dysfunctional family system, like divorce or like separate parents or like abusive dad. Like, there was always something happening at home or something traumatic happening to person in the story, and it was always like so dark. Like, I was so used to reading books where they didn't have like 2 parents in the household, 2 loving parents, and like a healthy home dynamic. It was always something going on, except maybe Vicky Angel. I think it was less about her family system for once, but it was her best friend. She watched her best friend die right in front of her. I read that and I was just like, wow. And then, not to make matters worse, but after her friend dies right in front of her, like, I think they're walking home from school and her friend's dancing on the road, and then a car comes and hits her. It really is a case of like being reckless and like not looking where you're going and just standing in the road and getting hit. And, you know, I think the main character in the book, it wasn't even the fact that just her friend died. Okay, that's already traumatic enough, but then she's having like these visuals of seeing her best friend like as a ghost, and then every time she tries to move on and like work through her grief and like maybe talk to other like girls at school and make new friends or just seek support, her best friend's ghost will just be like guilt tripping her, saying like, wow, so you're gonna move on and forget about me. Like, it was just so like conflicting and like dark. And yeah, that book is really dark. I had nightmares that my friends would like die and come back as ghosts and haunt me. Like, it was a very dark book. But anyway, I mentioned Clean Break as well. I just remember it being emotionally exhausting for the characters. Like, their parents were broken up, they were on a clean break, and they had to go back and forth between the parents, and it was just a lot of Jacqueline Wilson's books have that pattern of like broken up parents and like a divided household, and like the kids struggling to adapt to that, and it was a lot, but also it was so much fun at the time. Speaking of Jacqueline Wilson books, I swear to you, this might just be my favorite book series that I ever read as a child. I have all 3 books for the series, and I have Diamond as well, which is like the 4th book, kind of like a different character but still in the world of Hetty Feather. I have all 4 books. She's in this home for like young girls with no parents, so orphans, but like I think she believes her mom is alive. I don't remember if her mom is actually alive, but I remember that being her main like goal. She was raised by a foster family and then put into this home for girls, but in this foster family there was a son called Jem who was like her best friend and kind of like her childhood crush, and you know, the feeling was mutual. He said that after she leaves the workhouse and like grows up, that they'd find each other again and, you know, get married. And this is like set in like the olden days. I'm not gonna say the century because I don't remember, but it was set in the olden days, so it was very much a case of like, you get married, you have kids, you live in a little cottage, you live on the land, and you know, you earn a living. When Jem the boy was saying this, it was like what every girl wants to hear, right? She goes to this home and she's the very badly behaved girl. Honestly, she wasn't even that badly behaved. She just had like spirit, like, but the like matrons hated her. She called it the devil's child because her hair was ginger. I was like, she was so like dynamic and you couldn't really tell what she would do next. Like, she was insane. And I remember she had this thing of like, I want to find my mother. Like, she just had like big dreams. Like, her dreams were not limited to what society like expected of her. She really wanted to do the madnesses. Like, bro, by book 3 she was joining the circus. She said, oh, my mom did not name me Hetty Feather. I do not accept this name of mine because it's very boring and plain. I think my name is actually this. And she just renames herself. It's so funny. I'm like, and you know what? The childhood crush Jem, I liked him too. I thought he was really cute. But then she doesn't even end up marrying him. Literally, when it came to like them reuniting and her like seeing him and him being like, I would marry you. Like, you need to like give up on your dreams of going to the circus. Like, we can get married and live off the land and blah, blah, blah. You can be my wife and we can have kids. And she said, that's not enough for me. She said, that is not enough for me. And I can't lie, I think that has had a big impact on my brain.
I gotta put me first. I gotta put me first. I gotta put me first, Lucy. I understand that, and I promise you.
Guys, if I'm remembering the story wrong, just let me know. I could be very easily remembering the story wrong, but let's just go with it. She's like, no, I don't want to be your wife and live in this land. Like, I love you. Like, honestly, like, she does love him. That was not the question. It was the lifestyle. And she just didn't want to accept that that's all, like, her life could be. She wanted more. So she said, go marry that other girl. You know the Taylor Swift song, Champagne Problems? She could have made such a lovely bride. What a shame she's effed in the head. Like, she'll patch up the tapestry that I shred. She really said, go to her. She'll give you the life that I cannot give you, because you know what, I want more for myself and you deserve somebody who wants what you want. And she left, and I'm like, that's so mature for a child. Guys, I'm just saying what I think I remember. Do not quote me like on this book, please. I have not read this in like 10 years. She's my literacy hero. Let's just say she's my favorite protagonist in a book ever to this day, because she just ate that. Like, she was so young, but she ate so hard because she said, I'm not going to accept what society says I should accept. I'm going to go get more for myself. And I hear it. We're moving on to Kathy Cassidy. I'm holding this single book up, but I'm referring to the whole series. I loved the Chocolate Box Girls. It was so interesting. And I won't lie to you, I reread this book like last year. So this is the only book I think I'm more up to date with like recently. Every other book it's been 10 plus years. So Carrie is half Japanese, half white. Her mom was Japanese, but she passed away, so she just lives with her Caucasian father, and then he remarries, so they have to leave their town behind and move to Somerset, where he marries this woman who has like 4 or 5 daughters. 4. She has to integrate into their lives. Now, Cherry is like me. She is a compulsive storyteller. She likes to yap and yap and yap. And, you know, sometimes she gets herself in trouble because she likes to lie, because sometimes the truth is not interesting enough, so she lies. And you know what? I had that problem as a kid as well. I would lie, and it wasn't even like lies that were like that deep, but like I would make things up and embellish stuff to make stuff seem more like interesting, because natural storytellers, you know, like she was a storyteller. Like, she literally like exaggerate things just to make things more interesting. That was her big like character flaw. Her other character flaw was stealing her sister's boyfriends. The way my mindset has shifted reading that book as a kid versus reading that book now, I see her in a more negative light, but also like, she's only human, you know? She comes into this family, 4 girls. She has 4 sisters, stepsisters all of a sudden. They are so sweet, you know, 3 of them. The 2 twins and Coco. So we've got Summer, Sky, and Coco. Summer and Sky are twins, and then Coco's the youngest. They have one older sister called Summer, who's older than all of them. She's like 16. And she's like the bad girl, like rebellious. Like, she's a daddy's girl, so she doesn't agree with the divorce. So wants her mom back with her dad. But, you know, it is what it is. And, you know, Summer and Cherry are not getting along because they have to share a room. And, you know, Summer doesn't like her already. So it's like, oh, this is going to be difficult. But you know what makes it more difficult? You having a crush on her boyfriend. And her boyfriend was very much a case of like, you know, Jade and Beck from Victorious? That was the dynamic between Shay, the boyfriend, and Summer. The older sister's name is Honey. Sorry. Summer and Sky are the twins. Honey is the older sister. Honey and Shay, their dynamic is very much Jade and Beck. And, you know, like I don't know if it's a healthy relationship. I don't know if it's toxic. I just know that he was not happy. Cherry did not want to sleep in the same room as Honey. So she had like a caravan parked in the backyard that Cherry was using as her bedroom. Shay Fletcher would go to the house, meet his girlfriend Honey, you know, do whatever, like be with his girlfriend. And then when he's going home, he'd make a bypass for the caravan to talk to Cherry and play his guitar and flirt. And I just be like, damn. They would be like, oh, we're friends. But I'm like, and they would flirt and flirt and flirt. And you know what? When Honey found out about them, didn't even have to like do anything. It was just the way he was looking at Cherry and the way he was talking about her. Honey clocked it. She said, wow, so you're cheating on me with my stepsister that I already hate. And then Cherry's just like, I've ruined everything and I'll be with Shay, but I want to be with Shay, but I also want to have a good family dynamic. And the book is chaotic, but it's also like, it was such good fun because everybody was kind of in the wrong to an extent, but then everybody was kind of in the right as well. Like, it was just a mess. This is Cherry's book, like her story. Every girl has a story, so every girl has a book, and it's so interesting. Like, I feel like this is like a big thing in Ireland. If you guys are not Irish, like, you guys read this book. I think the Chocolate Box Girls ended up having like a secret brother that they didn't know about. Like, the tea was teaing. And then, oh my god, Honey, she leaves to go live with her dad in Australia. That was her book, because she said, I have enough of these girls, like these sisters and this cheating boyfriend and this new stepdad that I didn't want. I'm gonna live with my dad in Australia. It didn't go well, I don't think. Now we're moving on to like preteen. We're not on Wattpad yet, but these are some of the books that I'm reading at the school library and I'm like getting hooked by. Now, before we go to Wattpad, I think this is like the biggest turning point in my book taste. Everyone has heard of this book series. If you haven't, it'd be very concerning. But I just remember when I first started reading it, I was obsessed. It's a fantasy series, like a romantasy fantasy series. Like, I was only reading like specifically romance books before this point, so I didn't even know I was into that genre until I read this series. And now I am building this up so hard. Like, I have not been the same since this book. We got werewolves, we've got like freaking warlocks. I said, wow. No, obviously the book is very controversial in the sense of like her brother falls in love with her, but like he's so messed up in the head, you know, from like his brutal upbringing and the way he was raised, that like he confused like platonic and like romantic love when it came to his sister meeting her for the first. But then also Jace and Clary, when they thought they were siblings and then they weren't. Like, guys, you don't understand the turmoil I went through as a kid. There's no way. You guys cannot put like a jump scare that they're siblings and then be like, never mind, they're not siblings, it's fine. Like, do you know what I just went through? Like, what do you mean? And then the fact that they were still like down to date when they thought they were siblings was crazy. Like, it's like, I shouldn't be thinking about you like this, you're my sister. I was just like, let's pause, let's like relax right now. Like, this is a big part of my childhood, with all of its flaws, all of its quirks, all of its different like traits. This was my everything. And you know, from this point on, I was watching Vampire Diaries. Now I'm just obsessed with fantasy books and dystopian books and stuff. Like, give me supernatural beings, give me love triangles, give me like fighting to the death. Like, this series is the reason why I am the way that I am when it comes to like my book taste. So I have to bring Wattpad into it because I became a Wattpad bandit at around like 13 years old, up until like 15, maybe even 12. You know what? You just had to be there. Now I'm looking back, I'm like, ugh, I would never read that now. But like, you just had to be there at the time. Like, the Wattpad comment section as a kid was everything. But okay, we'll just get into it, okay? I won't lie to you, one or two of these books from Wattpad were actually like really good, and like I can see them like going further past the app. I don't know if they have already. I think some of these are published, like, and some of these can just stay on the app. The Last Virgin Standing by Laughter and Jinx on Wattpad. Let me explain to you guys what this book's about if you don't already know. If you already know, I know you're already shaking your head and you're like, girl. This book is about this school that has a culture of guys trying to take as many virginities as they can. You're seen as like the top guy in the school if you've taken the most virginities. At some point, the main character, she ends up becoming the last virgin in the school. The guys who are the top contenders for taking the most virginities are all focusing on her now. I just remember reading this and being like, wow. We got like a bad boy, we got like a sweet guy, we got the boy next door who's also her best friend. They were all vying for her attention so that they could take her card and become the top guy at school. It's disgusting, first of all. What's crazy is like, I think the main character is kind of like, ugh, I'm not gonna give it up for these guys. But then also she's like going on dates with them, and I'm like, how can you even let them do that knowing what their goal is? Like, I would literally be like, don't come anywhere near me. Knowing what these guys are like and what their goal is, I would not be anywhere near them. And then you're telling me her boy best friend is one of them, and I'm just like, what the heck? Guys, she ends up with one of them, I think, at the end, where the best friend gets hit by a car and dies. And I'm just like, at the end of the day, they're competing in this culture of like taking a girl's V card just for like props from their homies. Like, it's crazy. The version that I read is probably not the version that's being published now, but I can only speak for what I've read in the past. And yeah, I remember starting it off and being like, this is so cringy, but I'm gonna push through because most books on Wattpad are cringy. And then once I pushed through it, there's 3 books. By halfway into book 1, I was hooked. I was obsessed. I was sat. I said, this is so interesting. You never know what's gonna happen, and it's so well executed. I just remember like getting so attached to characters, and she was not afraid. Like, the author, she's not afraid of killing off her favorite character. No, she's so ruthless, and I love it, to be honest, because it keeps you guessing. But I'm sorry, that's literally what the titles were like back then. The Good Girls, Bad Boys. And it was a love square yet again. It's so cringy. So cringy. Would not recommend reading this if you're like older. If you're like my age, don't read it. Sorry, like, it's just not, I don't think you can get through it. But me as a kid, ate it up. It's her and there's 3 guys who become her best friends because they want to protect her because she's being bullied at school. And they're like 3 guys who are like in a gang, and like, you know, like they're hard or whatever. Everyone is scared of them at school. So when they become her friends, they kind of like protect her in a way. Like, everyone doesn't want to mess with her anymore. And she has like a different relationship with each of the guys, giving like potential romance. So everybody kind of has their ship. Guys, when I tell you the way people ride for their ship in the comment section of this book, it's so fun. The author will give you like a crumb of affection and they'll take it and run with it. When I had school in the morning, I knew damn well I had to wake up at like 6, but at 3 a.m. here I am, scrolling, reading, giggling at the comments, favoriting my favorite parts. I was doing it all, and I don't feel bad about it. At the time, it was tea. You, there's so many books on Wattpad that are so good, authors on there that are so talented, that's the only space that they have to like put their stuff out. When we think Wattpad, we think after. When I think of Wattpad, I think of this book, okay? And this book is so good. It reminds me of Hetty Feather. It's called Storm and Silence by Sir Rob Pierre. Dare I say, one of the best books on Wattpad. He did his big one. I'm not gonna say the century again, but it's back in the day in England, olden times, maybe Victorian era, I don't know, but women are not allowed the right to vote. Women are not expected to speak. They're only expected to be seen. The men do all the work. The men have jobs. The men make money. Like, you know, they are the ones that have everything. This woman, she wants independence. She doesn't want to get married. She wants to live on her own her whole life. She wants to not have kids. She wants to live her best life. But obviously, her auntie and uncle, who were like her guardians at the time, they want to just get all her and her sisters married off. She acts horribly at balls, specifically to not get male attention. And you know what? The beginning of the book, her motive is to vote. And, you know, women are not allowed to vote. So you know what she does? She dresses up as a man, wearing her uncle's suits and like tucking her hair into a cap. She goes, votes, gets caught, gets arrested. Right before she gets arrested, she impresses this man. This man is talking to his like assistant, and the assistant, I think, makes a mistake, and this man is like cussing his assistant out, and she like butts into the conversation, like, and shows her like abilities, like shows her skills, like how smart she is, how quick-witted. And the man, obviously, assuming that she's a man as well, offers her a job, tells her to come by his office, blah blah blah. Then she gets arrested, but then she dresses up as a man again and goes to this man's office because she's like, wait, he offered me a job. And obviously the man is like, I'm not giving you the job, you're a woman. She's like, but you hired me as a man, like I can just keep pretending to be a man. Oh, she even threatens him. She goes, what if I tell everybody that you gave me the job and I'm a woman? It's gonna hurt your like reputation, isn't it? And he's like, oh my god, like, are you trying to like blackmail me? And she's like, yeah, I am. She's so funny. She doesn't give a heck about anything. Like, she just does what she wants. And this man, he's the love interest, obviously, and he's so like cold and rude and hard and like misogynistic as heck, but like also like has a soft spot deep down. She dresses up as a man, and he's the only one that knows she's a woman, but he lets her work for him because she's capable. There's so many books in the series, and I've read them all. I genuinely recommend this book if you are on Wattpad and you want a decent, like, well-written book. Strong plot, good storytelling, all of that. If you want that, read this book. I promise you will not regret it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was so fun to film it. Like, honestly, like, just going through Wattpad and going through my old reading lists, that was a fun time. That was a good era. I think I read one book on AO3, but I was predominantly a Wattpad girl. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.